What's good, hoop heads? Your courtside analyst Tips and Streams is back in the game. On the slate today, breakdowns for the latest NBA matchups set to light up the hardwood. Before we tip off, make sure you slam that subscribe button on our YouTube channel to stay in the loop with all our predictions and top picks. So, let's get started. The first today's prediction is for matchup between Boston Celtics and Orlando Magic. The showdown on November 24, 2023 at the Amway Center is more than just a game. It's a clash of titans in the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics, sitting pretty with a stellar 12-3 record, have been tearing up the court. They're dropping an impressive 117.3 points per game, thanks to the dynamite duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. On defense, they're a brick wall, allowing a mere 107.2 points per game. Their recent hot streak, clinching victories in 7 of their last 8 outings, showcases their unwavering grit and determination. On the flip side, the Orlando Magic, sporting a solid 10-5 record, have emerged as this season's dark horse. Riding the wave of a 5-game win streak, they've proven they can ball with the best. Players like Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner have been pivotal, elevating the team's play beyond all expectations. Diving into the betting landscape, the Celtics have been a safe bet, consistently beating the spread. The Magic, despite being the underdogs, have shown they've got the chops, particularly when facing off against rivals in the Atlantic Division. Yet, they're up against a tough break, with Carter and Fultz sidelined due to injuries. Taking all this into account, my money's on the Celtics. They've got the edge both offensively and defensively, are in top form, and are up against a Magic squad feeling the pinch of key injuries. I'm calling it. The Celtics will not only secure the win, but also breeze past the 5-point spread in this nail-biter of a matchup. Bank on the Boston Celtics to bring it home and beat the spread. The next prediction is for the match between Phoenix Suns and Memphis Grizzlies. The Phoenix Suns, with a solid 9-6 record, are gearing up to take on the Memphis Grizzlies, who are lagging behind at 3-11 in the iconic FedEx Forum. The Suns, showing some serious game with a 2-1 record in group clashes, are hustling for that elusive wildcard berth. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies, struggling at 0-3 in their tourney matchups, are pretty much out of the playoff picture. Phoenix is bringing the heat offensively, ranking 8th in the league for their sharp shooting and smart plays, while Memphis's offense, trailing at 25th, looks to step up its game. The Suns' dream duo, Kevin Durant, dropping a hefty 31.4 points per game, and Devin Booker with a slick 28.1 are the men to watch. On the flip side, the Grizzlies, feeling the absence of their star Ja Morant and other key players, are banking on Desmond Bane's 25.6 points per game and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s solid 20.0 points per game to make some magic happen. The Suns have been dominating their conference games, netting 5 straight wins against fellow Western Conference squads. But their 20th ranked defense could give Memphis, known for their quicker, more dynamic play, an opening. The Grizzlies' bench is reeling from injuries, missing big names like Ja Morant, Steven Adams, and Marcus Smart, which could tip the scales in Phoenix's favor. When it comes to shooting accuracy, the Suns are on fire with a 47.71% field goal rate, outpacing Memphis's 42.27%. Phoenix also leads in three-point territory, netting 39.31% against Memphis's 33.39%. These stats, particularly Phoenix's superior field goal accuracy and their prowess in snagging defensive rebounds, suggest they've got the upper hand in this showdown. Taking all this into account, my bet is on the Phoenix Suns, not just to win, but to beat the odds. Their offensive firepower, combined with Memphis's injury woes and weaker stats, sets them up for a clear victory. I'm calling it play Phoenix Suns minus 5.5. The next prediction is for the match between Miami Heat and New York Knicks. Get ready for a sizzling showdown at Madison Square Garden, where the Miami Heat are set to battle the New York Knicks in a game that's got everyone talking. The Heat are on fire, boasting a solid 10-5 record and riding high with 9 wins in their last 10 outings. They've been balling out with stars like Kyle Lowry, who dropped a whopping 28 points recently, and rookie Jaime Jaquez Jr., who's been a dynamo off the bench. Even with Bam Adebayo on the fence due to a hip issue, the Heat have shown they can switch up their play and stay tough. The Knicks, sitting at 8-6, are no slouches either. Their defense is tight, ranking 9th in the league, and with heavy hitters like Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle leading the charge, they're a force to reckon with, especially on their home court. But their recent slip against the Timberwolves highlighted some chinks in their armor, especially from downtown. Breaking down the stats, Miami's racking up an average of 111.5 points on 46. 8% shooting, while keeping their opponents at 108.1 points on 47.1% shooting. Their game from the three-point line is on point at 39%, and they're killing it at the charity stripe with 85% accuracy. Players like Tyler Herro and Jimmy Butler have been lighting up the scoreboard for Miami. The Knicks are clocking in 110.1 points on 43.6% shooting, while holding their rivals to 105.8 points on 47.2% shooting. They're beasts on the boards, pulling down 47.4 rebounds per game, and they've got a solid record at home. In the betting world, Miami's beaten the spread in 6 of their last 8, but they've had a rough patch in their last 5 face-offs against the Knicks in the Big Apple with a 1-4 record. The Knicks, on the flip side, are 7-2 against the spread in their recent 9 and have a stellar record of 12 wins in their last 13 home games against Eastern teams with a winning streak. Factoring in past showdowns, injury updates, and current form, I'm betting on the Knicks to take advantage of their home turf and tight defense to clinch this one. Their rebounding prowess and strong home game against top-tier teams hint at a narrow victory, but don't sleep on Miami. Their grit and sharp shooting, especially from beyond the arc, are game changers. So my call? The New York Knicks are going to snag a nail-biter, and they're likely to beat the spread, given their recent form and Miami's struggles in the city that never sleeps. I'm putting my money on the Knicks to win and cover that minus 1.5 point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Chicago Bulls and Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors, sporting a 7-8 slate and clutching the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, are revving up to welcome the Chicago Bulls, currently lagging at 5-11 and placed 13th in the East, to their home court at Scotiabank Arena. The Raptors are rebounding powerhouses, snagging an impressive 45.9 boards per game to rank 6th in the league, and showing off their assist skills, ranking 4th with 28.6 assists per game. This show of strength sharply contrasts with the Bulls, who are scraping the bottom in scoring with only 106.4 points per game, 29th in the league, and struggling on the boards, ranking 26th with 41.3 rebounds per game. The Bulls are in a bit of a slump, having lost 4 of their last 5 matchups, including a tough 116-102 defeat against the Oklahoma City Thunder, where they were outclassed in rebounding and their shooting was off the mark. The absence of Zach LaVine, sidelined with a foot injury, is a serious hit to their offense, especially with his average contribution of 21.3 points and 5.1 rebounds per game. Toronto, meanwhile, has been a mixed bag this season, but showed their prowess in their last outing against the Pacers. Led by Pascal Siakam's double-double and stellar team shooting performance, hitting 53% of their shots overall and 40.7% from beyond the arc, they made a statement. Their defense, which allows the 15th fewest points per game, is set to challenge a Bulls squad that's been struggling with their shooting efficiency, ranking 27th in field goal percentage and three-point accuracy. Historical trends lean in favor of the Raptors, especially at Scotiabank Arena, where they've secured a strong home record of 14-6 in their last 20 games. In contrast, the Bulls have found it tough on the road, particularly against teams from the Atlantic Division, losing 13 of their last 14 such encounters following a loss. Taking into account these factors, especially Toronto's edge in rebounding and Chicago's offensive struggles, the Raptors seem poised for a victory, possibly by a significant margin. The Raptors' knack for fast breaks and their dominance in rebounding are key advantages in this matchup. After a thorough analysis, my bet is on the Toronto Raptors to not only win but also cover the spread in this face-off. The Raptors' defensive solidity and edge in rebounding, coupled with the Bulls' recent road game woes, indicate that Toronto is primed for a win. My pick is the Toronto Raptors to triumph and outpace a 4.5-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Detroit Pistons and Indiana Pacers. The Pistons, mired in a brutal 12-game skid, are scrambling to get their game on track, sitting at a dismal 2-13. They've recently taken hits from squads like the Cavs, Raptors, and Nuggets, putting up an average of 109.5 points on 46.3% from the field, while letting slip through 115.9 points on 47% shooting. Key playmakers like Cade Cunningham, Alec Burks, and Jalen Duren have been trying to turn the tide, but the team's been dropping the ball, especially when it comes to guarding the arc. Flipping the script, the Pacers at 8-6 are a mix of hits and misses. Even with a recent stumble against the Raptors, they've been turning heads with their offensive heat, knocking down an average of 128.3 points at a 50.7% clip. Their scoring game is on fire. Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner are the driving forces, but their defense is leaving gaps, coughing up an average of 126.4 points on 50.2% shooting. On the stat sheet, the Pacers are leading the league in some key plays. They're topping the charts in points per game and per 100 possessions, but they're trailing in defense. This scoring spree might just be their edge against the Pistons, who are fumbling both on offense and defense. The betting scene's been buzzing, pegging the Pacers as 8.5-point favorites. The over-under is a hefty 247.5, hinting at the Pacers' scoring frenzy and both teams' defensive hiccups. The Pacers are usually solid bets in these spreads, while the Pistons are a bit of a wild card. Wrapping it up, the play-by-play analysis and betting odds suggest the Pacers have the upper hand. I'm banking on them to snatch the win. They might even lead by a hefty 20 at some point. But given their so-so play, a 9-point spread is a stretch. This could be the Pistons' shot at beating the spread. I'm calling it for the Detroit Pistons to stay within the +9. The next prediction is for the match between Denver Nuggets and Houston Rockets. The Denver Nuggets, boasting a solid 10-5 record, are gearing up to square off against the 17-6 Houston Rockets. Denver's sharpshooting is in the limelight, netting a stellar 50.4% from the field, overshadowing Houston's 45.7%. Both teams show muscle in the rebounding department, snagging an average of 32.9 boards on the defensive end. But it's Denver's firepower that's turning heads. Their recent clashes have been nothing short of epic showdowns. Out of their last 5 face-offs, the Nuggets have clinched 3, leaving the Rockets with 2 notches in their belt. Denver's recent performance, however, has been a roller coaster, managing a win rate of just 40% in their latest outings. Offensively, they're a force, dropping an average of 115.8 points per game, but they've been leaking points, allowing 112.5 points on average. The Rockets, on the other end of the court, are grappling with their defense, evident from their 30th rank in the league. They're putting up a decent 110.7 points per game, but their basket seems to be wide open on the other end, conceding an average of 118.6 points. This vulnerability in their defenses could turn out to be the decisive factor. The initial odds were leaning towards the Nuggets at -4, but it's now tightened to -3, hinting at a nail-biter. The over-under has jumped from 213 to 216.5, signaling expectations of a high-octane scoring spree. Piecing this puzzle together, I'm calling it for the Denver Nuggets. Their lethal precision from the field and steadfast defense position them a cut above. The Rockets, struggling to button up their defense, might find themselves outgunned against Denver's scoring barrage. My bet is on Nikola Jokic to bag over 29 points, total points to soar over 216, and the Nuggets to beat the -3 spread. The next prediction is for the match between Washington Wizards and Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are storming the court with a towering average of 120.5 points per game, ranking 4th in the league, and a defense that's nothing to scoff at. They're gearing up to face the Washington Wizards, who are also bringing the heat, with a 10th place in scoring at 115.1 points per game, though they're trailing behind in the rebound game. The Bucks' scoring firepower is a sight to behold, but their 23rd ranked defense might sweat a bit against the Wizards' slick scoring. Flip the coin, and the Wizards are in a defensive jam, sitting at 29th in the league, hinting at a tough time holding back the Bucks' scoring surge. On the injury front, The Wizards are hitting the court, minus Rollins and Wright, while Jay Crowder remains benched for the Bucks. The betting scene has witnessed a notable shift, with the Bucks odds jumping from a -10 to a -13, showcasing a growing belief in their dominance and spread-covering chops. This odds stance mirrors the general vibe about both teams' muscle and recent gameplays. Taking all this into play, my bet is on the Milwaukee Bucks. Their scoring talent, meshed with the Wizards' defensive hiccups, tips the scales in their favor. The Bucks' deep bench and on-court adaptability look set to exploit the Wizards' weak spots, especially with some DC players out of action. In the spread game, the Bucks' offensive juggernaut seems poised to eclipse the Wizards' less-than-stellar defense this season, and with Washington's injury list, it's looking like the Bucks will not just snatch the win, but also comfortably cover the spread. I will take the Milwaukee Bucks to win and cover minus a 13-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Sacramento Kings and Minnesota Timberwolves. The Sacramento Kings and Minnesota Timberwolves are gearing up for a major clash at the Target Center. The Kings, despite hitting a bump with a 2-game losing streak, still rock a solid 8-6 record. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves are tearing up the court, boasting an outstanding 11-3 record, topping the charts in the Western Conference. Diving into the Kings' playbook, they've bounced back like true ballers even after some tough games. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are the squad's MVPs, with Fox dropping an average of 29.2 points and Sabonis snagging 20.2 points and 12.4 boards per game. Yet, their game on the road raises some eyebrows, having dropped 3 in a row away from home. The Timberwolves, on a hot streak, have bagged wins in 10 of their last 11 matchups. Their game is tight, averaging 113.2 points on nearly 49% shooting, while their D game is just as solid, holding opponents to 106.3 points on average. Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns have been the power duo, with Edwards racking up 26.1 points and Towns adding 21.6 points per outing. Their home game is flawless, making them tough to beat at the Target Center. Looking at the stats in recent form, the Timberwolves seem to have the upper hand, especially with their home court dominance. They've also got the edge in recent head-to-heads, winning 7 of the last 10 against the Kings. The Kings' road woes and missing Keegan Murray might just swing the odds more in the Timberwolves' favor. Wrapping it up, given the Timberwolves' current form, their unbeaten record at home, and past face-offs with the Kings, it looks like the Minnesota Timberwolves might just take the win and beat the spread. The driving forces behind this call, their killer offense and defense, plus the Kings' struggles on the road. My take, I'd sit this one out, but for those ready to bet, I'd say go for a total points over 229. The next prediction is for the match between San Antonio Spurs and Golden State Warriors. The Spurs are in a real slump, evidenced by a harsh 10-game skid, including a recent beatdown from the Clippers. Even with Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sochan, and Devin Vassell balling out, the squad's performance hasn't been cutting it. They've been dropping the ball on covering the spread in many away games, particularly against teams struggling in the standings. But, get this, in their last 11 Friday night showdowns, the Spurs have consistently crushed the total points line. That's a stat worth noting. Flipping the court, the Golden State Warriors are navigating through choppy waters too, dropping 7 of their last 8. But they're a force in their own house, especially against Southwest Division teams. We're talking a streak of 16 straight home wins against these rivals. With Klay Thompson stepping up his game, they're a team to watch despite their recent stumble against the Suns, where they shot well but still couldn't clinch the win. Diving into the stats, the Warriors are beasts on the boards, ranking 5th in the league for rebounds per game, a key edge they could have over the Spurs, especially when chasing those crucial second-chance points. The Spurs, though, are right up there with assists, sitting at 3rd in the league, showing they can dish out scoring chances even under heat. Analyzing their shooting game, the Warriors are sharpshooters from downtown, ranking 2nd in three-pointers. This could spell trouble for the Spurs' defense, considering the Spurs aren't leading the pack in field goal or three-point accuracy. In their last face-off on October 20th, it was a high-octane scoring frenzy, with the Spurs narrowly outscoring the Warriors 122-117. The Spurs dominated in paint and fast break points, but the Warriors owned the glass. Something to watch in their next clash. Weighing up both teams' current form, head-to-head stats, and unique strengths, the smart money might be on the Golden State Warriors pulling out a win. Their dominance on the rebound and lethal three-point game gives them an upper hand over the Spurs. The Spurs can create plays, but their shaky recent form and struggles on the road could be a red flag for bettors. My pick: roll with the Warriors for the win, but the Spurs might just beat the 11-point spread. The last prediction for today is for the match between New Orleans Pelicans and Los Angeles Clippers. The New Orleans Pelicans, boasting an 8-7 tally, are gearing up for a high-octane showdown with the Los Angeles Clippers, who are hovering at a 6-7 mark. The Pelicans are soaring into this clash, riding the wave of their latest triumphs and flaunting an offense that's dropping 113. 5 points a game with a sharpshooting 47.4%. The dynamic duo of Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson has been igniting their scoring blitz, but their defense, giving up 113.9 points at a 46.1% clip, leaves some room for tightening. Their knack for clamping down on rivals' three-point barrages to a mere 31.8% is their strategic ace in the hole. Meanwhile, the Clippers are on a hot streak, stringing together 3 wins and melding a stout defense that's been conceding just 109.1 points per matchup, with a potent offense tallying 113.2 points on a 47.3% shooting spree. Their defensive fortress is anchored in snatching 10.4 steals per game and putting a lid on opponents' scoring in the opening act. The dynamic Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have been pivotal in scripting their recent saga of success. Peering into the annals of their matchups, the Pelicans have clinched 40 out of 71 games against the Clippers since 2004, including 4 out of the last 5 face-offs in the Clippers' den. This underlines the Pelicans' ease and flair in conquering the Clippers' turf. Weighing their historical tussles and the Pelicans' current hot streak, they stand as formidable contenders to the Clippers. Despite the Clippers' fortified defense and the edge of playing on home soil, the Pelicans' recent mastery over them in LA and their surging momentum might just be the game changer. Balancing both squads' exploits, the Clippers' stronghold at home could be decisive. Their strategy to choke off scoring early on could catapult them to an early ascendancy. Taking all these elements into the mix, I'm tipping the Los Angeles Clippers to snatch the victory, but I see the New Orleans Pelicans sneaking through to cover the 6-point spread. All right, hoopheads, that's the buzzer for today's predictions. Big thanks for rolling with us. If you're vibing with our picks, slam that subscribe button and get on board. Catch you on the court tomorrow. Peace.